everyone, welcome to another episode of Sideline Banter, brought to you by Women of Fantasy Football. I am Sam Holt, and of course, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Derek Tate. Tate, how are you on this lovely, festive Week 13 that we have to cover?
Well, for you viewing this live on YouTube, I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like Ricky Bobby right now. We went live. I started waving like I was in the stands of a NFL game or something like that. I don't know what it is. I just got a little bit of nervous energy because in one league, Sam, I am 24-0.
Hey now.
24-0. 12-0 against the entire league. 12-0 against that pesky median. So I just didn't know where I wanted to go with it, but now we're in the flow of things. Not my best intro, but doing pretty good, all things considered.
All things considered. That's okay. As you know, I'm in 10 leagues, and I like to stay, as long as I'm, 60-40 in terms of wins to losses in my ratio of fantasy leagues, I'm good, and I'm sitting about there. I had a pretty gross loss this weekend in one of my dynasty leagues, but despite that loss, I'm still top 2. I'm 8-4 in that, with a very strong chance, as long as my players will stop getting hurt. Then I will have a chance. But I'm a little bit peeved at Baker Mayfield, just needs to protect himself. And do they not understand that we need them, that so many rely on them for so many things? I just need people to stay healthy.
You struck a nerve right there with my Buccaneers.
And not be suspended.
Yeah, it's very feast or famine on the Tate side of things because I'm first place in 4 of my leagues.
Okay.
And I'm clearly out in the other 3.
There's always one. My work league, that's me. And everyone keeps trying to make trades with me. And I'm like, I will take these players down with the ship. I'm not about super teams going into the playoffs, especially in work leagues. So for me, I'm just like, no, they're staying with me. I chose them. We're going down together. It's going to be dark.
I started off 1-6 in one league, and I rattled off 3 straight wins, and I was like, "Oh my! I can do it. I can get back into the mix. I just got to win every single game from here on out." And I put up 39 points, 39 in a PPR league. I don't want to talk about it. It's just some of them you just got to move on.
Sometimes you got to move on. This week's episode actually is titled Trust Issues. So, guys, with that, if you have any questions heading into Week 13, please throw them in the chat. Tate and I will be sure to get to them as quickly as possible. In terms of what we're going to be covering, not really a big need to cover Monday Night Football. Besides, if you own Christian McCaffrey, you're very happy that you do. And that's pretty much the summary of Monday Night Football. So, in a nutshell, that is it. We've got plenty of other fun things to talk about, Tate. We got players to talk about in regards to how do we trust them going through rest of season. Of course, talk a bit of waivers, and then Thanksgiving fun and shenanigans, do a little bit of preview for Thursday, and your petty parlays at the very end of this show.
We've got an action-packed show, and when it comes to Monday Night Football, no need to fear. Christian McCaffrey is here.
He's here to save your league.
That's all you can really say about Brock Purdy. A lot of picks in the first half.
So brutal.
Oh, I don't know. So I know that we were asked last week about Ricky Pearsall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's time to bench him.
Yeah. In terms of, looking for players to trust going forward, when you look at the Niners as a whole, and as they try to work through some of these shenanigans, it's really hard to imagine fully trusting players outside of Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle is kind of on the cusp as well, but someone like Pearsall, because Juwan Jennings is still getting so many looks, he kind of falls off. Pearsall does in terms of your priority list to start, let alone hold on your roster.
Well, I think that we know who to trust in that San Francisco offense. CMC, Kittle, and Juwan Jennings looks like the guy to trust, even though he got into a weird altercation after the game, but then upon review, Trayvon Merrick, naughty.
Yeah.
A little shot to the groin. Happy holidays.
Yeah. Are we just going to always is this a new thing? Because he's also been, he's suspended this week going into this week too. Guys, I know that it's a lot. This is a long season. It's a brutal season. Can we just play nice and not spit or punch or kick each other in the groin. Can we all just get along? We all are trying to watch and enjoy and play the same sport we love. Can we leave the horseplay to the side, please?
Well,
what is happening?
Now we're going off the rails a little bit, but yes,
it was bound to happen. We're like 5 minutes into the show. It's fine.
Although you may be tempted to give your distant relative who always gets under your skin and ask you what you're doing with your life at every holiday gathering, don't punch them in the groin.
No spitting.
Or spitting.
Yes, everyone play nicely.
Or you'll be suspended from next Thanksgiving, which for some of you may be a gift, but who knows?
Yeah. To get us back on track, I see a couple questions in the chat, so let me go ahead and put those up on the screen for us. This one from Cap for Life. Tight end question. Let's go with just pick one, or you could just rank these 4, Tate. Fannin, Engram, Barner, and Juwan Johnson.
I would have it Fannin, Barner, believe it or not, Ingram, and Juwan Johnson. I mean, I don't know what to do with Juwan Johnson. Just
me neither.
He had the great start, and then he fell off.
Yeah.
And it's Tyler Shuck under center. So yeah, I just feel like I trust that Saints offense the least. That's why.
Definitely trust that offense the least, but they have so few pass catchers available to them. I feels like he's going to end up with a handful of targets anyways. I'm trying to look at in terms of where they're ranked across Fantasy Life rankings right now. Juwan Johnson is the highest ranked out of those 4, just by a quick comparison. And then behind him, looks like it's going to be Fannin, Engram, Barner. Yeah, Fannin, Engram, and Barner. So it's kind of, I'm just going to lean into the rankings on that one. In terms of the matchup this week against the Jets, I think it's a decent matchup as well. So I would think I would lean Juwan Johnson on this one. Or sorry, I would lean against the Dolphins and I would go with him. Who else are they throwing to? And also, it looks like Taysom Hill is back again. So it's kind of such a mixed bag.
A little bit of a fly in the ointment, to say the least, there in New Orleans. But I also noticed a question from Mark about defense and special teams.
Oh, sure.
Entering the fantasy playoffs. My advice, as long as Shedeur Sanders is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, I would target those defenses. Sam, I'm happy for him that he got his first win.
Yeah.
In first start.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I understand that, deep pass, rolling right, hit Isaiah Bond in stride. It was great. Yes, that is something that is super positive and a confidence builder. But upon reviewing the tape, the all-22, it was a mess. Still some very questionable concepts, in particular in pass protection. While they try to do him a favor by keeping folks in and chipping, there was still free runners right through the B gap, and that got to Shedeur a little bit early, which I feel like, even dating back to his days in Colorado, Sam, if you pressure him early, gets a little skittish in the pocket, and he has a tendency to drift and just bail from clean pockets. I think that's going to get him in trouble when he's not playing a team named the Las Vegas Raiders, even as early as this upcoming weekend against the San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of up and down, but he probably could have had 3 interceptions on the day. He only finished with 1. He only had 1 sack miraculously. But I could see some real learning experiences for Shedeur Sanders if the issues that I saw on tape persist.
Yeah, and they're facing the Niners this week in Cleveland, I believe. And that's also going to be an interesting one because I'm pretty sure the weather is supposed to be not that friendly. So probably going to be a good one where they're going to have to slow him down. We talked about Shedeur a little bit last week in terms of what we were going to expect. And I feel like it was exactly what we called it in terms of there was going to be some plays where he looked, like the spark that they needed. And there were going to be other moments where he struggled. And I think that that's just going to be the mixed bag you're going to get with him rest of season in terms of what to expect. This isn't necessarily, I'm looking at it as like, oh, we finally have A, B, C available to us because, he's bringing so much life to the Browns offense. That's not exactly the case. He is going to continue to facilitate. He's going to continue to learn. And that's about it.
Yeah, and that's why I have, going back to the tight end question, I have faith in Fannin because it felt like the only thing that he felt comfortable doing was really checking, like either throwing bombs or checking it down. And, Fannin, for what it's worth, is a very, very good check down and rack threat at the tight end position. And he has been all season, despite how bad the Cleveland passing offense has been in 2025.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to a couple more questions, and then we will get to some of these trust issues because I think that's going to play a lot into some of these questions. All right. This one from Mark. Quick quarterback question. Dak or Burrow? This is going to be a week that we're expecting to see Burrow back. Everything is shaping up nicely for him. Is this one where you look at it and you say, okay, Joe Burrow's back. They wouldn't bring him back unless he felt 100% right because the Bengals know what he has as an investment. Plus, he has his Jamar Chase to throw to? Or is this something where this is Thanksgiving, Dak is going to want to show up and show out against the Chiefs?
I am just going to lead on caution here because we saw with Brock Purdy earlier this year that you can re-aggravate a toe injury. And Sam, we don't know that Burrow is 100% healthy yet. Now, if he gets back in there and he looks spry and isn't ailing, sure, then you can feel like you can trust him moving forward. But in the first game back, with how well Dak is playing this year as a whole, even in a tough matchup for the Cowboys and a Kansas City defense that did a good job against the Colts, I'm still going to go with the safer option with Dak Prescott.
I think that's fair. I do also feel like this is a game that it has the potential for a shootout. This has a lot of potential for these two quarterbacks to really sling it across the field. Plus, both pass catchers for the Cowboys have been extremely effective. George Pickens has been incredibly effective, especially his last couple of weeks. Looking at the matchup for Burrow, which also makes me nervous, is this is a divisional matchup, and the AFC North is really good at beating up on each other and finding and exploiting those weaknesses. So watching the Bengals go up against the Ravens, who have not been amazing on defense like they normally have, for whatever reason, it's like a stage issue where these teams, my teams, as soon as we show up against each other, oh, I left my clown up there. So it's normally a Steelers thing right there. My bad. I do another show where we talk about it, Welcome to Derry, and I was like, oh, sorry, that's Pennywise, not a Steelers logo. My bad. Just saying, the way we play against each other is very tough and scary at times.
I can understand that. Last year, it was a lot of shootouts between the Ravens and the Bengals. And while not much has changed for the Bengals defensively, Lamar doesn't look quite right. And maybe we'll talk about him later here in a little bit. But I kind of think that the Ravens are not built for shootouts right now. For whatever reason, maybe it gets fixed against the Bengals defense, which seems to be what cures all ailing offenses in 2025. But I would rather, and that's why I'm going with Dak Prescott, just because, again, I want to play the safer option. And how much are you really getting with Burrow in his first game back without T. Higgins, as opposed to Dak Prescott, where that offense certainly has shown flashes of being very dynamic through the air.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's go ahead and jump into some of these trust issues then. I want to talk about some of these quarterbacks. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. You kind of teed him off well for us there in terms of how you see him, how he's been this season. Just looking at, his fantasy points across the board, it's been a bit feast or famine, and we're heading into Thanksgiving weekend, so I think we all want to feast. Is this a situation where you're looking at him going up against the Bengals, according to ESPN? He's facing an opponent that is 30th against the position. So the Bengals are very beatable by quarterbacks. This should be a get-right game for him, but can you trust it?
Should be. It should be. But, Sam, over the last two games, and they've played the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets, mind you, two pretty bad football teams. Where do you think Lamar Jackson ranks just at the quarterback position over the last 2 weeks?
Last 2 weeks. Do I cheat and check, or do I actually take a guess? Well, I'm going to guess he's outside the top 12.
He's QB 26. 26th.
Pretty bad.
And 193 yards passing and 2 interceptions against the Cleveland Browns. Okay, they're a really good defense. Okay, one bad game. Follows it up against the New York Jets, Sam, with 153 yards passing and no touchdowns again through the air. So, okay, he's a dynamic runner, though, right? And hamstring, he's 4 games removed now from that hamstring injury. Yeah. Sam, over the since week 9, since he's returned from the hamstring injury, he was out over a month. He's averaging just 17 rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
17. And that is fewer rushing yards per game than Dylan Gabriel. And he's averaging fewer rushing yards per attempt than Davis Mills during that same span.
Don't love it.
I say all that to say this. What makes Lamar a cheat code as a fantasy quarterback is obviously what he gives you with his legs in addition to his arm. Well, it's not clicking right now through the air, and he's not giving you anything what we're used to from him as a runner. And the Jets are a bad football team. It's not like he's played, just nothing but stout defenses since he's returned. Sam, I'm a little bit concerned about Lamar Jackson, and I do have some trust issues.
Yeah, I think that those are fair and really valid. I mean, just looking at the points, the raw box score is saying what he's given fantasy managers the last 2 weeks alone. I mean, week 10 was also very concerning. It's a lot. And as we gear up, shaping our squads going into the playoffs as well, some playoffs, coming up sooner than others, it is very worrisome. And this is a situation where this weekend does look like a complete get-right game. This should be something where he pops back up into the over 20 fantasy points situation. If he doesn't do that this week, I mean, you're going to start sounding some alarms.
Well, I'll ask. So he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and Jacoby Brissett is playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who would you rather start?
Oof. It feels too spicy to try and
say Jacoby Brissett over Lamar Jackson. I understand.
It does, especially because when you look at the opponent ranking against both of them, again, the opponent ranking for Lamar, Bengals are 30th against the position, Bucks are 28th. So splitting hairs again in terms of going up against teams that should completely create situations where they'll win. Maybe the edge here is knowing there's going to be some interesting weather happening in Ohio this weekend gives me the edge to say, let's go stay down south and lean towards Brissett.
Well, he also picked up a toe injury too, Sam. Like Lamar showed up on the injury report this week with a toe injury.
I don't like that.
So, I mean, I think 2 weeks ago it was his knee. So I'm not really clearly, like with his rushing production and the stout drop, something is not right for Lamar because this isn't what we're used to seeing. So I think that there's reason to expect that ultra high must start, set it, forget it, maybe doesn't apply to Lamar right now.
Yeah, I think so. So you brought up Jacoby Brissett, and he's another player that I wanted to discuss just because we're talking about trust issues and other players that we do trust. Brissett has become someone we can trust, but I do see a storm on the horizon in terms of the coming weeks. You mentioned this weekend he's got a great matchup against the Bucks. However, weeks 14 and 15, I am quite nervous about what this looks like. He's got the Rams and he's got the Texans. Both defenses absolutely smite opposing quarterbacks. So in terms of looking for streaming options, this is the week that you've got for Brissett. The next 2 weeks after that, I am very concerned in terms of staying trusted with him in my lineup. I would definitely be looking elsewhere just because these defenses are hell bent on causing problems for opposing quarterbacks.
100%. He's proven that he's a reliable streaming option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he's entered must start, set it or forget it range either, even though like his passing numbers have been that. I'm still not going to go too far, but yeah, I mean, this matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that is struggling and giving up all kinds of explosives, I don't think it's crazy to say that he's a top 12 play at all.
No, I don't think so. All right, before we jump to running backs in terms of trust issues, let's jump to a couple more questions because I see a lot in the chat. And guys, we haven't forgotten about you. I just want to make sure that we hit all of our lovely talking points today. So I see this one from Jeff Rogers. Guys, I will scroll back up and get to the rest of these. This one is Mechie or Troy Franklin. Interesting because Mechie is a player that is when he entered the league, everyone was really excited about him. A great college prospect coming in, and then he found out, and we all found out that he had cancer, and he had to go and deal and battle that. Incredible story, him getting back to playing and jumping around to different teams. Now, finally seeing some light, so he's kind of exciting. But Franklin has been fantastic for the Broncos. So between these two, I'm gut is saying Franklin, though Mechie's got a very hot hand right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy for John Mechie, and the reason why I think it's a valid question is that Mechie is in consecutive games now seeing 80+% of the offensive snaps and saw season high 7 targets last week and was efficient with it. 6 catches, 65 yards and a score. That's awesome.
Touchdown in each of the last 2 games.
Right, but I'm still not trusting the Jets.
Yeah, that's
the part.
Fair point in terms of trust issues. Jets. They are facing the Falcons, and yes, that is lovely. But when you look at the Broncos, and again, just picking between him and Troy Franklin, again, I feel like I'm still leaning Broncos. Commanders are 30th against the position, so little bit of love goes really there. Again, you're looking at consistency here. Though happy that you got Mechie because maybe I'm guessing if this is a question, this is your flex question for the week.
Right, and the matchup against the Washington Commanders defense, I think, is a very appetizing one from a fantasy lens for Troy Franklin. So even though the Broncos have traditionally been tough to figure out why they get off to slow starts every week, Franklin's role has been pretty consistent. In particular over the last month. So yeah, Franklin over Mechie this week for me.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. Going to scroll up a little bit. Looks like this one from SJMP. First, they said, now, the guy that dropped him is trying to say he wanted to put him up on air. Okay, I'm trying to get caught up on this. It's a very long question.
Got it.
Yes. They're 12-0 with Chase, JT, Kyron, JSN, now Burrow. I made 2 trades this year, Bucky for JT in the preseason and ETN for JSN in week 4. And I'm cruise control, already secured the bye. This isn't a question. This is just a very good roster flex. Congratulations to you.
I was going to say that, thank you for flexing in the comment section. I'm very happy for you. Well done.
Yes. Let's do this one from Cap for Life. Higgins, Houston, or Mooney?
Give me Darnell Mooney. Assuming that Drake London does not play this week. If London plays, then I'll go with Higgins. But if no London, give me Mooney.
Well, also, isn't Higgins is out this week? He's been ruled out for this week, given his injury that has crept up. So he's immediately out for me as well. I agree with you on Mooney, though. If London's out again, I think he's a good start.
Well, I think that Higgins Houston meant Jaden Higgins.
Oh,
not T. Higgins.
There you go.
So, that's what I meant with Nico Collins.
There you go. That makes sense.
Excuse me. Drake London. Sorry, I'm getting confused. But no, Jaden Higgins. I'd fade him for Mooney this week.
Fair. All right, let's get back to some trust issues. I want to talk about running backs here. Got to talk about Bijan Robinson, not just because I'm biased and I have him in a dynasty league and I'm needing him to do more, but we got to talk about it. Trust issues in that week 11, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Week 7, he had a receiving touchdown. Week 6, a rushing touchdown. In between that week 6 to now, it has been scant to find touchdowns for Bijan Robinson. So it's a bit of feast or famine. Rest of season schedule, they've got Jets, Seahawks, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams in week 17. Again, that's the one I'm going to be most nervous about. I'm trying to find my spark again so I can find hope for my Bijan Robinson. But with how consistent Tyler Algier is at vulturing those touchdowns, I'm very nervous. at taking him through the fantasy playoffs. I can't do anything about it. I'm starting him. He's going down with the ship if it happens, but I'm nervous.
Are you just looking for me to infuse some confidence?
Yes, make me feel better. I have trust issues. This isn't a therapy session, but it is. Like, help me.
Okay. Look, I wish that I could sit here and break down every single, schematic reason that, Zach Robinson wants to roll in Tyler Algier specifically near the goal line when Bijan Robinson is an absolute freak show. But right now they're pretty content and deliberately giving Algier a role. And it feels like it's going to cap his ceiling. But Sam, I mean, Bijan Robinson still has the upside to have like those Jahmyr Gibbs type performances that we saw on Sunday. Like, he still has an RB1 overall ceiling every single time he steps on the football field, legitimately. So if you're thinking about trading Bijan Robinson, maybe sure you go get another, star that has the goal line role on lock. But Bijan, you're never going to find a reason not to have him in your starting lineup. I think you should start him with confidence. It's just going to be a little bit frustrating when he finishes as the running back 9 with no touchdowns, and Tyler Algier has 2 rushing touchdowns, which then would have elevated Robinson to the running back 2 on the week. That's going to be frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's just a really frustrating, I think, this season that it seems like everything has shifted so much more to lean to almost making this a mixed backfield, but it doesn't deserve to be that way. So it's very frustrating, and I need the offensive coordinator to get his shit together for the Falcons.
Arthur Smith is not there anymore, and it's still
I know. It should get better, but it's not. Let's move on to another running back before I get more flustered. You've got Kareem Hunt on this list, who has been extremely consistent, but it looks like we're going to be getting Isaiah Pacheco back.
Well, that's the thing. Can the Kansas City Chiefs realistically go back to Pacheco when Kareem Hunt has been pretty darn consistently the better option, certainly in short-yardage situations? Sam, he has a touchdown in 4 straight games. Okay. He's seen his carries increase in 4 consecutive games. Okay. Season high 30 carries in week number 12 in a must-win game. Check. And he's seen over 70% of the offensive snaps now in 3 straight contests. Sam, I understand that Kareem Hunt does not have the juice that he used to back in his first stint with the Kansas City Chiefs. But this type of volume for a team that seems to have its fair share of finishing drives in red zone goal-to-go situations in 2025, he seems to be a pretty damn safe bet as a running back 2 in your starting lineup, and you probably got him as a flex, late in fantasy drafts, so he's probably your running back 3 or running back 4. I think you can trust him based off the usage we have seen over the last month. Yeah.
I mean, he's had a rushing touchdown in the last 4 games. Very, very consistent. Steady floor there for you in terms of return against Dallas this week. Again, I don't know. I think I'm always a little bit nervous when you have a running back coming back, but this is also Andy Reid. And I feel like when things work well and they have a formula to them, he sticks with them. The Cowboys are 21st against the position. I feel like this is going to be a game where we're going to see a lot of maybe both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Maybe Pacheco is a bit more involved in the passing game, and you've got Kareem Hunt kind of as more of a goal line type situation set up. But this is definitely something where I don't necessarily want to be starting. If I had both of these running backs, I would be very frustrated because I would feel very concerned as to which to start. But hopefully no one's in that situation.
See, last year I felt like when Isaiah Pacheco got hurt and then was able to come back towards the very end of the season, there was a reason why everybody was worried about Pacheco heading into 2025 because clearly Kareem Hunt became the preferred option, in particular in goal-to-go situations. So I think that we have over a year sample size of Hunt being clearly preferred as the more valuable fantasy guy. And even if Pacheco is sprinkled in with 3 to 5 carries, I think now with this team needing to win, they're not in a experiment and let's see what works, what doesn't. Let's sprinkle in Brashard Smith. No, this team has to win in order, but pretty much not every single week, but their margin of error is very small for them to be able to make it into the postseason. And that's all they really care about. If they trust Kareem Hunt more, I expect to see more Kareem. And I feel like you can trust him in your fantasy lineup entering the fantasy football playoffs.
And then looking at the rest of the schedule too after Dallas, I mean, again, you've got the Houston Texans, which are very concerning in terms of a defense to stack up against. But then it's Chargers, Titans, Denver a tiny bit, and then you've got the Raiders. So not the worst schedule going forward, but definitely one where maybe he goes from being an RB2 to a flex, depending on the defense he's facing.
Sure. No, you're going to have some weeks where you feel more comfortable starting him.
No, 100%. This week though, if I had Kareem Hunt and he's been getting me some sufficient points, I'm going to still start him this week.
100% against Dallas. Yep.
All right. We've got a running back question here, or this one I want to get to. Let's see. Hey y'all, I'm 8-4. Would you trade away Javonte, Franklin, Bowers to get JT and Sutton and Gadsden? Ooh, this is an interesting trade question. And then adding into this that their RBs are Kyron, Jacobs, Javonte, E. Wilson, Corum, Tootin. My wide receivers are JSN, Lamb, Franklin, Watson, Godwin, Reed on IR.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
really... Yeah, this feels like a solid trade in terms of value, and congratulations on your championship early. That's a great roster.
That's a very good roster. I don't like saying this because I love Brock Bowers. I just don't trust the Las Vegas Raiders offense for him to really consistently return on that value. You're just going to have a lot of spike weeks, which means give me Gadsden. As far as a fine trade-off. You're not losing a ton there. You're losing a little bit of a ceiling, but still fine. Franklin Sutton, we've had the conversation. Sure, Franklin seems to be a little bit better right now, but Sutton's still there and can deliver some big games. But Jonathan Taylor's running back 1 overall. If you can get him. Especially with that roster.
There's always going to be some trade-off with a trade like this where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be taking a hit here, but is the rest of my roster strong enough to balance out the hit I'm taking with this so I can gain this? This is a win in terms of how I'm valuing this trade. So, yes, 100%. Hit accept. And again, congratulations, really, on your win. One more running back to talk about trust issues with. I mean, this is kind of shaping up to be a lot, but I feel like there's a lot of trust issues with the Giants, just from a lot of different standpoints. Talk about Tyrone Tracy in terms of not just this weekend, but let's go into rest of the season as well. This week, they are facing the Patriots, who are 24th. They're facing the Patriots, who are a rough defense for the Giants. So this is a very concerning game.
Yeah. Sam, this one's a tricky one to figure out because Jameis Winston takes over under center, right? Mm-hmm. One thing that is consistent is he's very entertaining whenever he gets the chance to get onto
it. He is fun to watch. I'll give him that. He is a fun guy to watch. Some of those passes this week, it was like the ball went up and you're like, is it going to come back down? The arc was insane. So much fun to watch.
It's like somebody was trying to practice receiving punts on the jug machine.
Yes. And, the angle's too steep. You gotta adjust it.
When it comes to Tyrone Tracy Jr., though, I mean, when you look at the last 2 games, if you could guarantee me this type of volume, I mean, 19 plus carries, 3 plus receptions, 120 plus total yards.
Yeah.
Wow. And the involvement is there in the passing game. So, I mean, but that was with Jameis Winston under center. And he did it against the Green Bay Packers, so I feel like maybe you could trust him. Like, who do you trust more right now? Do you trust Tyrone Tracy or Kareem Hunt more?
Oof, probably Kareem Hunt. That's a weird line.
Me too. I mean, at the very least, I feel a little bit more confident they're going to be able to generate scoring drives, but I'll tip my hat to the Giants. They are battling. Even though they've lost Neighbors and Scattaboo and they fired their head coach, it still, this team has been competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, they damn near beat the Lions, Sam. It took like a 60-yard field goal to send it to overtime from Detroit.
Yeah, that was a wild game. But honestly, one that they were in a great shape to win, and then they found ways to lose. So I think that, I mean, in a must pick this week, who would I start? And I have both Hunt or Tracy. Given the matchup, I'd be starting Hunt. But after this, Giants have a bye week 14, and then they've got Commanders, Vikings, Vegas, Dallas. I mean, I would feel decent flexing Tyrone Tracy in those matchups starting week 15. This week, I'm very nervous.
Yeah, I mean, this week I'm definitely fading him, and then he's got the week 14 bye, so you're not going to really see him again probably until your fantasy playoffs begin. I bet you we're going to get a bunch of questions about week 15.
Seriously. All right, let's move on to some wide receivers to discuss in terms of who we're trusting. And I want to start this off positive because I've been very negative talking about some of these running backs. A positive trust. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is top wide receiver in everything, in every category, in terms of how you're seeing him. I don't know that there's another receiver, as I look at the top list, that I feel more comfortable with on my roster rest of season than JSN. I mean, everyone else, when you look at just the top receivers, there's question marks. Looking at, again, in terms of total fantasy points right now for the whole season, George Pickens is a number 2. Okay, well, that's going to end up evening out at some point with him and CeeDee Lamb. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lions are finding ways to make others available. Gibbs has been incredibly successful. Puka Nacua, got a little bit dinged up. Devontae Adams is starting to get a lot of targets. Jamar Chase, if he just doesn't spit at people, will stay, on the field and be better. But he's got Burrow coming back from injury. There's a lot of just little nitpicky things on other receivers, and it's just trust meter going through the roof for JSN.
Yeah, there's no reason to not put him as the wide receiver 1 overall.
Yeah,
every week. It doesn't seem to matter the matchup. I mean, against the Rams, Sam, and the Rams defense has been really damn good. They're the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL right now, and he went for 9 for 105. Mm-hmm. Like, it's explosive plays. He can beat you underneath. He can literally beat you on all 3 levels of the football field, and he's being schemed up, and clearly him and Sam Darnold are seeing the defense through the same set of eyes, and JSN's ability as a route runner to be able to separate. I mean, God, he does it all. So, yeah, I'm with you. He is the definitive wide receiver 1 until somebody else makes a even stronger case, which is pretty much impossible right now, or JSN comes back down to earth. But for right now, yeah, I mean, he's without question the wide receiver 1 overall every week.
I just wish I had him in more leagues, because I know that as I tuck myself in at night, I would stretch, yawn, and I have JSN, and I would feel good about it. But, that's not the situation that we're in.
Yeah, my microphone.
I know.
We are live.
Just a little bit. It's fine. All right, another wide receiver to talk about. This one, more nervous about. We've got Justin Jefferson on the list here. He's been held under 10 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. A little bit feeling like he's hamstrung by JJ McCarthy. Is that the only issue he's facing, though? Because it's just, he's kind of doing a bit of a track meet. He's not getting the catches, and then even when they're going his way, he's not able to grab them. It's just not looking very promising for Justin Jefferson.
I would have to say, because of the track record that we've seen from Justin Jefferson since the moment he stepped on an NFL field, that if there are issues, it has to do with the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying that because I understand J.J. McCarthy was injured his rookie year. And I understand that, he's made 6 starts in the NFL. He's a young kid, 22 years old. He doesn't have it right now, Sam.
Nope.
And the feet are a mess. He looks overwhelmed. The ball placement issues have been consistent when he's on the field. And this past week, he's been saving some of these performances with coming on late and kind of showing more flashes late in games. Mm-hmm. But this one, it was bad from start to finish. And now it comes out that he's got a concussion, right? Mm-hmm. Or he's in concussion protocol anyway. Max Brosmer could make his first start. I understand you're going, you should. He's an undrafted rookie. But I like this kid's game.
Okay,
I think he plays.
He
plays faster. I think he play mentally. He seems to his mechanics seem to be more consistent, at least from what I saw in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but I think that Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan, offensive minds like that, generally like quarterbacks who can consistently play on time and within the confines of the scheme.
Yeah.
I'm very cautiously optimistic that Brosmer can do this. Unfortunately, he plays Seattle. Not the most ideal first matchup for an undrafted rookie making his first start in the NFL. But I still trust that Justin Jefferson, from here on out, will be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver through the rest of the season.
Top 10?
Yes,
Oof.
I do.
Okay.
The targets have still been there for the most part. I know he only had 6 this past week. It was a disaster for the entire Minnesota offense against Green Bay. But before that, 9, 12, 9, 11, 10, 11, 11. And what could be the best friend for a rookie quarterback making his first start? Throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. So
fair. I mean, I want to have hope. I'm with you in terms of trying to see the upside here in terms of a fresh start, because it does feel like Justin Jefferson does well with a fresh pair of hands. Like in terms of when McCarthy got out there first round, okay, making him look really good. McCarthy's adjusting to having these defenses come at him, and I definitely feel like I'm seeing a lot of deer in headlights moments for him. It's just very concerning that looking at week 13 rankings, consensus rankings on Fantasy Life, Justin Jefferson is sitting at wide receiver 21 for the week.
I get it. Look, you have every right to be concerned. Every right to be concerned. It's more so I'm placing faith in the talent. I'm placing faith in the play caller with a rookie quarterback under center, a real rookie quarterback under center, not JJ McCarthy, who is, had a redshirt rookie, is on his redshirt rookie year, I guess. Real rookie quarterback under center. I think that he's going to do everything he can to scheme up quick throws and get the ball into the hands of the playmakers like Justin Jefferson. And if that clicks, Sam, I kind of got to wonder if they may just let it ride with Max Brosmer for a little bit. Because, like you said, McCarthy hasn't looked right. It looks like his confidence is just shattered. And that's tough for a rookie, or I'm calling him a rookie. It's tough for a young player. Yeah. Once you start questioning yourself at that position in the NFL, it doesn't always go well when you're trying to learn on the job.
Yeah, it just doesn't always lean in your favor. I mean, again, I want to be optimistic. I'm just very concerned. This question here from Cap for Life, Jameson Williams or JJ? I mean,
Jefferson.
Still Jefferson. It is interesting looking at some of the comparisons in terms of, boom bust potential, going to the start sit tool over on fantasylife.com. It is a little bit closer than you'd want it to be, but it is still Justin Jefferson between the two.
And it's still the Green Bay defense this weekend. So it's not a much better matchup for Williams than it is for Justin Jefferson.
Facts. All right, one more receiver to talk about before we move on. I am excited to talk about these Thanksgiving games because there's going to be some fun matchups here. But let's talk about A.J. Brown. This is a player that not but a week and a half ago, he said, don't start me. If you have me in fantasy, don't start me. He was sounding very much of low confidence in the team, not necessarily in himself, but in terms of his being utilized. And then this week he goes and gets 8 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. So in my notes, I'm going to read this Ron Burgundy style. He's back? Question mark?
I don't know.
We don't know. Who knows?
That's why when we wanted to, I wanted to bring this one up for public discussion because this is very tough. I have a lot of shares of AJ Brown because I bought low earlier in the year when I was like, it's just a slow start. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
He'll be all right, right?
Right.
I don't know.
You can hear the wavering tone in your voice.
Yeah, and it's like as every week goes by and you keep head scratcher after head scratcher, and it's just like, well, damn, is he going to be all right? Did I just make a really big mistake?
What did I do?
Yeah. So full PPR format, Sam, he's the wide receiver 27 in points per game. And this was after the big performance against the Dallas Cowboys. 22nd in targets, 25th in receptions. The real problem here, Sam, is he's incredibly volatile. I mean, in 30% of his games this year, he has scored fewer than 5 fantasy points.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
In full PPR formats.
Not a fan.
I mean, I'm going to ask you because, again, meeting of the minds here. Is A.J. Brown a must-start wide receiver? Because there are some matchups on this schedule to finish out the year that look pretty damn good on paper that we should be able to trust, like Chicago. Chargers not so much, but still okay. But then Las Vegas, Washington, and even Buffalo at times has given up some big offensive performances. So, I mean, I say 4 of those 5 games, you should be able to start with him with confidence. But can you put him in your top 15 or even top 20 right now?
I mean, again, I think that he's becoming someone that as these teams go to make the true playoff push, you're seeing different things have to click. This is the returning Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles. They need to get their winners the ball in terms of leaning on those that are available. You've also got Devonta Smith this week dealing with a shoulder chest injury. Did not participate in this Tuesday's walkthrough. So a little bit of question mark there. If he is dinged up, Brown stays near the top of the list. You mentioned already, this is a great matchup. Chicago 26th against the position in terms of how you're ranking that. So you love the matchup. And I think that this just becomes one where you have to say maybe a little extra prayer, maybe pay an Etsy witch to cast a spell. But I do think this is something where you can try to get him into your lineup as your wide receiver 2, your flex potential. I think he stays there. He's someone you have to continue to start just because as these teams push to make the playoffs and they haven't locked in that playoff berth, they have to get him utilized. And I think the squeaky wheel is actually going to be getting the passes this time.
Well, I mean, it got the grease last week and even the week before. I'm going to cautiously say that he's still probably a must start as your wide receiver 2, unless you're just loaded with options. But damn, yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of like cross my fingers, say my prayers, and hope for the best because. Boy, oh boy, this Philadelphia offense has been really tough to trust on a week-to-week basis in 2025.
It has been absolutely brutal. All right, we have another question here in the chat that kind of goes in line with trust issues. This one from Christian. Is JT going to be mid for the rest of the season? I actually think this is a valid question because Jonathan Taylor coming off of the game against the Chiefs where he had under 10 fantasy points. He's got Texans this week, another tough defense. But then he's got Jacksonville, Seahawks, Niners, Jacksonville, Texans. Is he going to be mid? I don't think that he's going to be mid. I feel like week 12 is a blip, as well as week 9 being his other game against the Steelers, who decided to play a tough defense that week. I feel like this evens out rest of season. And he's not mid, but he is Jonathan Taylor.
The way that this offense is cooking, there's no path where I see if you're saying that mid probably means that he's like what, a running back 2 or something, right? Like,
yeah. So I guess mid, you'd qualify him as being outside the top 12.
Yeah. I don't see a world where he finishes outside of the top 10 from this point on through the rest of the season. Sure, Houston, tough defense. Maybe, Sam. Maybe there's a little bit of a blip, back-to-back subpar weeks. Seattle, if JSN and Darnold cook in the first half and that defense turns Daniel Jones over, maybe it flips the game script against a tough defense in Seattle. Maybe. But I think he's going to torch Jacksonville, and he's going to torch Jacksonville again. And then the San Francisco 49ers are all kinds of beat up on the defensive side of the ball. Sure, they can look really good against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, but the way this offense has been steamrolling all season long, there's no path where I see Jonathan Taylor being subpar from here on out.
I agree. I do feel like, Christian McCaffrey is giving him a run for his money in terms of total fantasy points for the season. McCaffrey has dethroned him and taken the number 1 spot again in total fantasy points. But I do feel like there's so much about this offense, to your point, that works through Jonathan Taylor, with him being successful in order to make other things be successful. And what's been amazing, I think, watching the Colts this season is watching them make adjustments very, very quickly. When things don't work, how quickly this offense and these coaches are finding ways to find solutions. And this is a very hungry Colts team. I definitely feel like this is a very fun and exciting team that's going to continue to keep their foot on the gas as they push towards not only securing that playoff, but securing a high, ranking going into the playoffs as well, so that they can stay seated. I mean, everything's on the table. And again, outside of the very clear and obvious tough matchups, depending on the week, again, going up against Houston this week, 11th against the position, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I still trust Jonathan Taylor. Would I say with my life, at least with my fantasy roster, maybe with my life. If my life was just him holding the ball, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him have success against other really elite defenses just earlier this year too. I know he didn't have a great game against the Chiefs. Hey, they sold out to stop him.
Yeah, they did.
It happens sometimes. But Jonathan Taylor back in week 2 rushed for 165 yards against the Denver Broncos. Like, he's capable, even in tough matchups, of absolutely going ballistic.
Yeah. So let's not be scared. Let's stay positive.
Have
it's going to be great.
Have faith. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. As we gear up to talk about some of these amazing Thanksgiving Day matchups, I want to talk about something petty, because what are we people talking about at Thanksgiving? Things they shouldn't be talking about to cause grievances. So let's talk about some petty parlays, guys. Tate is always looking for fun parlays for us. This is not just a parlay bet where, it's a clear and obvious, okay, this guy's going to have a great week, but there's an extra edge. There's some saltiness. There is some drama with these parlays. Tate, let's jump into them.
Yeah, it's time for the Tater Parlay of the day. Count them with me, kids. 1, 2, 3-leg parlay. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So, Sam, what's worse than losing your job?
Oh, what's worse than losing my job?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hold jobs higher than relationships, so I can't imagine a breakup being worse. But I don't. That says a lot about my workaholicness, but I don't know what's worse. I know. I was like, you didn't cue me up well for this. I'm like, I don't know. That's probably the worst thing.
The outline of the show, like, hey, I'm going to hit you with what's worse than losing your job, right? To start off petty parlays.
Losing my fantasy league?
No. Let's stay focused, shall we? I'll get to my point.
Okay.
When it comes to the life of a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
Yes. It's one thing to not have a starting job as a quarterback, and it's a whole other thing to lose your job in an advertisement for Progressive as the backup quarterback. And they, by the way, Progressive, brilliant job marketing. But Jacoby Brissett was part of that, backup, ad campaign for Progressive in 2024, and he lost his job to Teddy Bridgewater. So I am setting up a narrative that if Baker Mayfield is unavailable for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Teddy Bridgewater draws the start against the Arizona Cardinals, that Jacoby Brissett is going to exact some petty revenge for him losing his job at Progressive as
it's a deep cut. I like
de
it.
facto backup on air for commercials. That's a silly.
It's a battle of the backups,
I'm really reaching, but it's the battle of the backups. I'm creating my own petty narrative here on Petty
That's
Parlays.
fine. I'm here for it.
So look, Tampa Bay Buccaneers just got torched by Matthew Stafford. The week before, they gave up 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns to Josh Allen. I'm not predicting 6 total touchdowns for Jacoby Brissett, but I am predicting over 280 yards passing and 3 scores through the air for Jacoby Brissett.
Ooh.
So
I think that's actually very achievable, and especially when you look at their pass catchers that are available. Dre McBride has had a lot of success with Brissett. Michael Wilson also becoming a standout with, Harrison dealing with an injury as well. So I do feel like there is some edge to this one, especially in this matchup. And again, looking for bright spots for your fantasy starters in terms of high point potential. I like it.
Don't forget about Greg Dortch.
No, Dorchland. Mayor of Dorchland, my good friend LQ. Check him out over on NFL Network.
Moving on to the Black Friday game, Sam.
Black Friday!
Yeah. While you're doing some shopping, the Chicago Bears will be taking on the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And while most people remember DeAndre Swift's tenure in the NFL, beginning with the Detroit Lions, he did have a 1-year pit stop with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes, he did.
So, of course, he was one and done in Philly, and they went ahead and, let him go and immediately paid Saquon Barkley a market value contract. And it resulted in Saquon having a, historic season.
Just
his first year with Philly. But can't tell me that there isn't a small part of DeAndre Swift that isn't a little bit petty that they chose to let him walk and immediately sign Saquon in free agency. Yes. So give me an anytime touchdown, Sam. And I'm also going to do over 80 total yards in this game simply because I can't trust the Philadelphia offense to blow teams off the football field, because even when they do get out to a 21-point lead, they give it up against the Dallas Cowboys. So I do expect to see a heavy dose of DeAndre Swift on the ground and in the passing game. Even though it's a stout Philly defense, that's why I'm going total yards, and I do think he finds the end zone once against his former team.
I like that one. I think that would definitely be a fun matchup. I'm excited about this Black Friday game as well. I mean, I think that this is going to be a tough run game for him, but Philly has been finding ways to make things more difficult for themselves, and I could see this being a situation where the run game gets some work done against this Philly defense. So I like it. What is your third petty parlay for us?
The third and final one.
Oh, this might be my favorite.
We were just talking about how good the Seattle Seahawks are playing this year, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
And part of the reason JSN is doing his thing is because Sam Darnold is slinging the rock and proving that his
Slay.
Slaying, I guess it is the holiday season after all. But
Slay.
So we're seeing that Sam Darnold's 2024 breakout year was not just a fluke. And he was with the Minnesota Vikings when he had that breakout season. What I think and why I think this might be a little bit petty is because while Sam Darnold certainly fell into a great spot in a team that he clearly believed in him and an offensive coordinator that he's had experience with, it was still something that he just led the Vikings to 14 wins. And the guy that they decided to move forward with instead of bringing back Sam Darnold has struggled, to say the very least. So it may not be petty because Sam Darnold's probably thankful that they gave him the opportunity there in Minnesota, but it is his chance to validate to his old coach and organization that decided to move on from him and part ways this offseason that y'all made a mistake. Go ahead. Give me 4 touchdown passes.
Ooh.
Aggressive.
Aggressive.
4 touchdown passes. I think JSN gets 2 of them against a pretty solid Vikings defense. It's still obviously uber aggressive, but if you're uber aggressive against JSN and you don't manage to check him in coverage or have a plan for him, which nobody has figured him out this year,
yeah,
it could be very problematic. So go ahead and give me Sam Darnold 4 touchdown passes against the Minnesota Vikings. That'll do it for this Tater parlay of the day with the 1, 2, 3 leg parlay. Good luck out there, kids.
I love that one. I think that's my favorite of these petty parlays because I do feel like, I mean, first of all, Sam Darnold, a professional. You know, he understands the business and he understands where he sits with different things. You know, watching him in interviews and I've gotten the chance to talk to him and ask a couple questions too when he was a backup for the Niners. He understands different situations that he's put in. When we saw his success with the Vikings last year and they didn't bring him back, I was livid for him. Now he's with the Seahawks and they're absolutely playing to his strengths and he's having immense success. I 100% believe that there is a lot of that in the back of his mind, if not his mind, in the fans' minds. They're playing Seattle at home. You can't tell me the 12th man's not going to have a huge effect on the Vikings and causing problems for them as well because they're so behind Darnold, leading them to an 8-3 season. Meanwhile, the Vikings sitting here at 4-7. Love Darnold this week.
Yeah, no, I was kind of curious what you were going to think about that. I mean, also Sam Darnold, who was once a backup quarterback, why didn't he get a call from Progressive?
Fair. Well, he didn't get the call because he's having success. He had success with the Vikings and he's having success with the Seahawks. He is more than just a backup.
I agree. And I'm super happy for Sam Darnold, by the way.
Yes.
When did you get to interview him, by the way? I know we got to wrap up here soon, but you got to interview him?
So not this past media week, because that was in New Orleans. The one before, where it was Niners Chiefs, and they were in Vegas. I got to interview him down on the field when they were doing the first Monday night game, and he was just standing there, and I was like, "Hey, can I ask you some questions?" He was like, "Yeah, of course." And I was like, "I'm Sam. You're Sam. This is gonna go great." But yeah, no, it was nice because there was no, in that situation, you've got so many reporters trying to ask questions of so many people, and you've got, you know, the big names that are behind podiums deep with other reporters asking questions, and there's other players that are just standing around if they don't have a line right next to them. And he was just someone that didn't have a line, and he was someone that was just hanging out. And I was like, you know what? I feel like Sam's got a lot that he's learned from being the starter to being the backup to now being another backup. And this is the Niners offense is very, very different in terms of the scheme. And we talked a lot about what he enjoyed learning with this coaching staff. And I do feel like him going to then Minnesota with a similar, you know, fast-paced offense that would play to his strengths. And then also now going to the Seahawks, it is an interesting full circle kind of moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're just walking up and casually striking up a conversation with the number 3 overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft. That's pretty cool, Sam.
My palms were sweating. Like, I wasn't like not freaking out about it, but like, I was like, this is cool. It was also one of those moments where I was like, I'm going to pretend all my anxieties don't exist. I'm going to put them in a box and deal with them later. I'm just going to go and do the thing, have fun. And then as soon as I got to my hotel room later that night, I sat on my bed with my like hotel sandwich and I was just like, what the hell just happened? Oh my God.
I could actually interview you more about who you got to interview and all that stuff. I do think we have a couple questions.
Yes, let's get to these before we sign off. I wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving too before I click through these. And we will end the show with going through our favorite Thanksgiving sides. But let's get to a couple questions. This one from Cap for Life. Coming back from this question, they want to layer in DJ Moore, Mooney, or Higgins.
Are we talking about T. Higgins? He's already out, so I'm assuming it's Jaden Higgins.
Yes, let's go with that.
I'll roll with Mooney. DJ Moore, it's nice that he caught 2 touchdown passes, but that offense has been a little bit tricky to trust as far as the target distribution. They're getting Luther Burden a little bit more involved. Hey, Colson Loveland, Sam.
Hey, it's happening again. Yeah, I think the mix of pass catchers being available makes me a little bit concerned for consistency from Moore. Again, great that he got involved. I will also go Mooney there. Let's see, this one from Joseph. If Baker Mayfield plays, who should I start, Tez Johnson or Mechie? I would... Tez?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's not a lot of pass catchers for the Jets, and Mechie does have some consistency here.
There's not a lot of passing going on in New York.
I'm just saying. He's got a hot hand, and he's doing well. Tez Johnson feels a little bit hit miss.
You're probably not wrong, but
I understand the helmet behind you says why you're picking Tez Johnson. However,
fine.
No, I'm not gonna say that what you should do. I'm gonna tell Joseph I would pick Mechie. You can say you would pick Tez, and he can flip a coin.
I would go with Tez.
There you go. This is how it works. Or you can go play with the start sit tool over on fantasylife.com and play with that, which is also a lot of fun. All right, let's see. This one from Joe. If Irving doesn't play this week due to his mental health, which I do hope he gets better. Yes, we all hope that. Is Sean Tucker a must start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, quantify must start always depends on the context and the situation. But do I feel confident that he could be a top 20 option at running back? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, last one from Joseph, and then we'll be wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving as we talk about our favorite Thanksgiving sides. Joe, lastly, Javonte Williams or Egbuka?
Javonte Williams. I definitely, if Baker does not start, it's definitely Javonte for me. Because I don't know what to expect from Teddy Bridgewater. But if Baker plays, I mean, we did just see what the Kansas City Chiefs defense did to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I think that does cap the upside for Javonte Williams. I think he then becomes a touchdown-dependent option. So I'll go Ibuka if Baker plays. If Baker sits, I'll go with Javonte.
I think that's fair. I'll agree with you there in terms of that, those two. All right, Tate, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side? Like, what are you most looking forward to on the table?
A side?
Mm-hmm.
It's the bacon mac and cheese.
Ooh, bacon mac and cheese.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
To quote the superfans from SNL, just having another heart attack, Ted. I know, it's high in cholesterol, but it's fabulous.
It is fabulous. See, I think that I have a very different, not very different, but an interesting take on Thanksgiving because I go to my aunt's house. My aunt and my dad are British. So our Thanksgiving has a lot of British foods thrown in there. And my favorite thing that we have as a side is something called Yorkshire pudding, which is a lovely savory bread. Okay. It's the best way I can describe it. That I like to fill with mashed potato and pour gravy on top of until it's this little bomb of gravy, mashed potato, and some turkey stuffed in. And that is my absolute favorite because it's just this fried dough, savory deliciousness.
See, that's fantastic. The things that I love the most about Thanksgiving, outside of course watching football,
Fair.
One of the traditions in the Tate household, when my parents would always have everybody congregate at the house, and we'd sometimes have like 30 to 50 people, depending on the year and who could make it. Mm-hmm. One of the traditions, Sam, and I know one of the things that we have in common with our Halloween garb is that we both dressed up as William Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
From Braveheart, yes. So one of the things that happens every year, or at least when everybody gets together for Thanksgiving, is I do the entire Battle of Stirling speech in my Scottish accent at Thanksgiving. So
of course you do.
I won't do it for y'all here. Maybe it's upon request another time, but just understand that Derek makes an ass out of himself on an annual basis. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
I love that. Happy Thanksgiving. Wishing you all nothing but wins, luck, and full bellies this Thanksgiving. We will see you next week for week 14. Have a good one and good luck.